Caleb Hale was dead. He had stood on the roof of a securities building in downtown Chicago, offered a bitter smile to the skyline, and declared that heaven had no place for him. Then he stepped into the void, ending a life of sin and tumult. A month after his death, Leo died too. He had been driving aimlessly along the winding coastal highway, his mood as dark as the churning ocean below. The brakes failed. The car tumbled over the cliff. He had assumed the only thing he and Caleb Hale would ever share was a spectacularly grim end. He did not expect to open his eyes to the world of 12 years prior. This was the year he had been aged out of the foster care system, left with nothing but a duffel bag and a future as empty as his pockets. This time, he decided he wouldn't be a petty street punk following some two-bit crew leader. If he was going to be bad, he would be bad in a way that mattered. He needed to find Caleb. If he could get in on the ground floor before Caleb built his empire, he would be seen as indispensable, a true confidant. He never imagined his search would lead him to a construction site on the city's sweltering south side. Caleb, barely 18, moved with an efficiency that belied his age. He hefted bags of cement onto his shoulder as if they were nothing, dropping them neatly onto a wheelbarrow. The sun beat down relentlessly, and the water bottle in Caleb's pocket was nearly empty. With a slight purse of his lips, he stripped off his shirt. Leo, squatting across the street, forgot to breathe. Caleb's chest was broad, his abdominal muscles etched into a lean, powerful frame. Leo remembered his past life, a brief period of prosperity when he had bought a gym membership. No matter how hard he trained, he could never sculpt muscles like those. His trainer had told him some of it was just genetic. It seemed whatever cosmic favor Caleb had been granted was poured entirely into his face and his physique, leaving none for a long life. Caleb worked with a quiet, steady diligence. An older, craftier worker, who had been lounging in the shade, saw the foreman approaching. He shoved Caleb aside and grabbed the handles of the now full wheelbarrow, loudly complaining about how the kid was just getting in the way and couldn't do anything right. Caleb's jaw tightened, his brow furrowing, but he was silenced by a fresh stream of insults before he could speak. A surge of fury propelled Leo to his feet. He ran across the site, yelling that the old man was full of it. This whole cart was Caleb's work, and he was putting on a pathetic show. The worker turned on him, demanding to know who the hell he thought he was. Leo felt a fierce, familiar loyalty rise in him. He kicked the man's shin, his voice ringing with conviction as he shouted that Caleb was his brother. He warned the man that if he ever bullied his brother again, he would regret it. For a moment, Caleb stared at him with a strange, unreadable expression. But he was smart enough not to contradict the lie. The older worker shot them a venomous glare and stalked off. Leo immediately offered Caleb the cold bottle of water he'd just bought. He told him he must be thirsty. Caleb didn't take it. His gaze was steady, demanding to know who Leo was. Leo scratched his head, forcing a laugh, trying to recall details from the biography Caleb would one day publish. He claimed they used to live on the same block when they were kids, suggesting Caleb probably didn't remember him because he hadn't been around much. Caleb gave a curt nod, finally accepting the bottle with a quiet word of thanks. He didn't drink, instead turning back to his work. Leo eagerly offered to help. He forgot, in his enthusiasm, that his current body was a weak, underfed thing fresh from the system, all sharp angles and bony limbs. He wrapped his arms around a cement bag and the weight immediately sent him staggering backward. A hot pressure at his back stopped his fall. Caleb was there, his brow creased with concern. He relieved Leo of the bag with one hand, his voice a low caution to be careful. Leo managed a weak smile, his pride stinging. But a sharp reality check followed. He was useless right now. He had nothing. After buying the water, he had exactly $50 to his name. And the sky was beginning to darken. He crouched by the gate of the construction site as the workers left, an unspoken panic coiling in his stomach. A motel? Not for more than a night or two. Besides, his constitution was fragile. The stale cigarette smoke would make him sick. A park bench? The night wind would give him a fever. Joining a gang? The thought made him shudder. He remembered the nightmares that had plagued him in his past life, visions of the ugly, immoral things he'd done to survive. There was only one option. He saw Caleb walking out and called his name softly. Caleb. Shame made his voice tremble. He walked over, his head bowed. He had come back to save this man, to make him the world's most formidable, longest-living villain. Instead, he was the one who needed saving. It was humiliating. His voice was small as he asked if he could, maybe, stay with him for just one night. Caleb's brow furrowed. He studied Leo for a long, silent moment. Leo risked a glance up and met his gaze. Caleb's eyes seemed fixed on his eyelashes, or perhaps the small red mole on his eyelid. Caleb swallowed, then looked away. Fear clenched in Leo's gut. The worker he had confronted earlier kept shooting him nasty looks from a distance, as if waiting for him to be alone. The thought of staying here by himself was terrifying. A desperate whine entered his tone as he pleaded with him, begging him. Caleb's gaze dropped. His voice was cool when he finally agreed. Just one night. Leo sat on the back of Caleb's battered moped. Caleb had given him the only helmet, wearing a flimsy construction cap himself. They sped through cramped, foul-smelling alleyways, the city lights a distant blur. They finally stopped in front of a low, dark bungalow in a forgotten part of town. Caleb got off, fumbling with the lock in the moonlight before hoisting the moped over a rusted threshold into a small courtyard. Leo looked around, a lump forming in his throat. He couldn't believe it. The man who would one day command fortunes had started in such squalor. Caleb pointed for him to sit, poured him a glass of water from a pitcher on the counter, and flicked on a bare bulb. Then he went into the courtyard to wash up. Leo sipped the water, his eyes scanning the single room. There was only one bed. The sheets, a faded floral pattern, were immaculately clean, smelling faintly of laundry detergent. The blanket was folded into a perfect square, the sheet pulled taut without a single wrinkle. Hearing the splash of water outside, Leo swallowed hard. Given the narrowness of the mattress and Caleb's 6'2" frame, the only way they could both fit was if they were pressed tightly together, or if Leo curled up in his arms. Otherwise, one of them would roll right off. Caleb walked back in, shirtless, rubbing his damp hair with a towel. Leo instinctively sat up straighter, his posture suddenly formal, just as it had been in his past life when he'd watched the polished, formidable man from a distance, full of reverence. Caleb glanced at him, then tossed him a spare blanket and a mat. He stretched out on the bed, his long limbs taking up the entire surface. There was no room left at all. Leo asked quietly where he should sleep. Caleb, already turning over, his voice thick with oncoming sleep, told him the floor. Leo fell silent, staring pitifully at the back of his head. He waited, but soon Caleb's breathing evened out. He was asleep. Sighing, Leo settled onto the hard, cold floor. He told himself it was a trial, a test of loyalty. To become Caleb's most trusted man, he had to share his hardships. But the hardship was intensely unpleasant. It was a stark reminder of why he'd taken the easy way out in his past life. He woke up with a burning fever. His head swam, and he realized he was in Caleb's bed. The sky outside was just beginning to pale. Caleb was dressing. His muscular back, tanned a deep bronze, was covered in old calluses from years of heavy labor. He felt a calloused hand on his forehead and heard Caleb's frown in his voice. Caleb said he was going to buy medicine and that there was soup warming on the stove. Leo should try to eat if he could get up. Leo stared at him, his mind a feverish haze. As Caleb left, he thought he heard him sigh, muttering to himself about having brought home a piece of trouble. For a long time, Leo lay there, the words replaying in his mind, a strange sense of hurt blooming in his chest. He was useful. He could hold his own in a fight, cook for the crew, patch up wounds, even take the fall for someone else. He remembered in his past life, during a high-stakes meeting, Caleb had specifically looked at him and commented to his boss that he was a pale, clean-cut kid. Now, this version of Caleb thought he was a burden. He didn't understand the sudden pang of disappointment, but he knew he couldn't let Caleb discard him. If he did, Leo had nowhere else to go. It sounded shameless, he knew. Most protagonists in time travel stories came back to save the hero. He had come back only to become a freeloader to a dirt-poor Caleb. But he couldn't help it. He wanted to be with him. Determined to prove his worth, Leo decided to impress Caleb upon his return. Caleb, who had been woken up multiple times by Leo's feverish muttering about being cold and the floor being hard, pushed open the door to a strange sight. Leo was slumped weakly over a large wash basin, his hands slowly and stubbornly scrubbing a pair of Caleb's boxers. Caleb stared, speechless. Leo, looking utterly delirious, gave him a foolish grin, announcing that he could do his laundry. He then staggered to his feet, legs trembling, and leaned against a broom, declaring he could sweep the floor too. A steady hand caught him from behind. Caleb's voice was weary. He told him to stop making more trouble. Leo clung to him, his words slurring together as he added that he could also keep him company. Caleb was silent for a long time, which only made Leo more anxious. He just watched him, a look of profound confusion on his face. Leo tilted his head back, his voice taking on a pathetic, pleading quality. He insisted he was very useful, and begged Caleb not to despise him, not to leave him behind. Caleb's expression was complicated. He asked why Leo was so insistent on staying with him. Leo's mind went blank. He finally whispered that he didn't want him to be alone. Much later, Caleb would recount this scene. He'd say that he came home to find Leo stealing his underwear, hugging a broom, and then deliberately collapsing into his arms while staring at him like he wanted to eat him alive. He'd say it scared the hell out of him. Leo would shout in protest that it wasn't like that at all, and if it was, why did he let him stay? Caleb's response would be simple. Because a kid like him, if thrown out, would surely be picked up by someone much worse. What else was he supposed to do? But in that moment, Leo just waited, his heart pounding. Caleb sighed, a sound of weary resignation, and nodded. A wave of relief washed over Leo, and he exclaimed that Caleb was a good person. Caleb pressed a finger to his lips, hushing him. His voice was quiet, but it held the first hints of the powerful man he would become. He stated clearly that he was only letting him stay because they were childhood playmates. Leo shouldn't get any other ideas. And from now on, he had to listen to do whatever he was told. Leo nodded frantically. Caleb helped him back to bed, fed him soup and medicine, and then efficiently washed the boxers from the basin, along with Leo's clothes from the day before, hanging everything in the courtyard. Before he left for work, Leo grabbed his hand and pressed his remaining $50 into it, proudly announcing it was for room and board. Caleb stared at the crumpled bills for a few seconds, then let out a short, incredulous laugh. Living with Caleb, Leo saw firsthand the relentless hardship of his early life. At 18, with divorced parents who both wanted nothing to do with him, he had dropped out of school to work. Life was a constant struggle. Tucked away in a corner of Caleb's closet, Leo found a stack of awards: honor roll, model student, MVP for the basketball team. He had read Caleb's official biography countless times, a book filled with inspirational platitudes that glossed over these years with a few brief sentences. It spoke of a youth spent overcoming minor setbacks before a stroke of genius in the stock market at age 20 launched a decade-long journey to wealth. The book made it sound so easy, as if the suffering was just a necessary prerequisite for any hero's journey. Leo gently touched the awards. As he was placing them back, Caleb saw him. His brow furrowed with a familiar mix of confusion and exasperation. He asked, with some difficulty, if Leo could please stop sniffing his clothes. Leo indignantly denied it. Caleb shrugged. If he weren't a guest in this house, Leo would have argued. Caleb placed a takeout container on the stove to warm and pulled on a food delivery jacket. He told Leo to eat before he left. It was already late. Caleb explained that he was delivering food now. Leo wondered if he was made of iron. He offered to go with him to help. Caleb's tone was flat, but Leo detected a hint of amusement when he asked if Leo knew how to ride a moped. Leo shook his head. Caleb's response was blunt. Then what good would he be? Leo mumbled that his language was too coarse. The Caleb of his memory was a smiling shark, a man who could kill you with kindness. He remembered him at a club, impeccably dressed, looking over at Leo and smiling gently. He'd handed him a plate of pastries, asking what such a young kid was doing in a place like this, advising him to eat more and drink less. He was like a kind older brother. The real 18-year-old Caleb just gave him a cold look and told him he could leave if he didn't like it. Leo's head dropped. He didn't dislike it. Caleb's expression softened slightly. He told him to eat before the food got cold and to lock the door after. When Leo asked if he was coming back that night, Caleb said no. Work at the construction site was slow, and he needed to save money for the winter. Leo insisted that he could earn money too. Caleb was firm. He said Leo was just a kid and could barely take care of himself. Seeing Leo's crestfallen face, Caleb hesitated. He rummaged through a dusty box and pulled out a few old high school textbooks, dropping them in front of Leo. If he had nothing to do, he should memorize poems. He'd be quizzed on the Raven tomorrow. Leo stared in disbelief, asking what the point was. He wasn't even in school. Caleb was already at the door. Without turning around, he said softly that it was important to learn. He added that he would make sure Leo could go to school, so he should study and not slack off. Before Leo could respond, he was gone. Leo clutched the textbook, his heart a tangle of emotions. Caleb was going to send him to school, but he barely had enough money for himself. And Leo's grades had always been average. It would be a waste. No one had ever been this good to him. No one. He pressed a hand to his chest, thinking that Caleb Hale was completely insane. A few weeks later, Caleb announced he had found a school for him. He could enroll after the winter break. Leo was speechless. Caleb reached out and ruffled his hair, telling him to stop looking at him with those gooey, gross eyes. Leo resolved to repay Caleb's kindness. He scrubbed the small house until it was spotless, cooked every meal, and took over all the laundry. First, Caleb said nothing. But after a few nights of Leo consistently ending up curled against him in his sleep, Caleb told him to stop washing his clothes. Leo complained loudly. Caleb's reply was sharp. He said Leo was bad at it. Leo was indignant. He washed them perfectly clean, making them smell fresh. Caleb was just being picky. Seeing him sulk, Caleb sat down and silently peeled an orange that had been warming on the stove, handing it to him. He told him to say something. Leo took the orange and meticulously picked off the white pith. Caleb sighed, took it back, and with his long, nimble fingers, stripped it clean in seconds before handing it back. He remarked that Leo was the picky one. Leo mumbled that the pith was bitter. Caleb replied that his tongue was too sensitive. Then his face flushed as if he'd thought of something else, and he quickly looked away. Because of Leo's fragile health, he had been sleeping in the bed with Caleb for weeks. Caleb would occasionally remind him that he should move back to the floor once he was better. But a few fake coughs were all it took for Caleb to relent, allowing him to crawl into the warm bed. It got to the point where Caleb developed a habit of sleeping on the very edge of the bed, leaving a space for him. Sometimes Leo would watch him sleep and think he was a good person. He felt lucky to have met him. Then Caleb would open his eyes, glare at him, and tell him if he wasn't going to sleep, he could recite poetry. If he faltered, Caleb would hold him down and sweat his behind. In those moments, he thought Caleb was a terrible person. And so, caught between the good and bad Caleb, the first day of school arrived. Caleb stood outside, a cigarette dangling from his lips, and handed him a wad of cash for tuition. Leo clutched his arm, silent. He had lived an adult life of a sort, survived on the streets. But the thought of school made him nervous. He was afraid of teachers, of new classmates. The only friends he'd ever made were the fair-weather kind, people with lives as messy as his own. He'd once thought that if he worked hard, Caleb might one day consider him a friend. But then he remembered how the brilliant, successful Caleb had died even younger than a useless punk like himself. Caleb squeezed his hand, the pressure firm and warm, reassuring. He told him to study hard. After a pause, he added, so he could get into a good college and pay him back. Leo's smile felt stiff, afraid of failing him. Caleb sighed again, the kind of sigh one gives when dealing with an impossible child. He told him not to look so pathetic. It was fine if he got bad grades, as long as he learned some manners. At the very least, he should learn to tell his own underwear from Caleb's. The sentimentality vanished. Leo shot back that he hadn't made a mistake. The bigger ones were Caleb's, the smaller ones were his. He was missing a pair, and Caleb must have misplaced them. Caleb quickly changed the subject, complaining that his leg was hurting again from a fall he'd taken while delivering food in the snow a few days ago. Leo's anger evaporated, replaced by concern. He made Caleb sit down, applying a medicated patch and gently massaging the bruise. Caleb didn't make a sound. His tolerance for pain was immense. Looking at his sharp profile, Leo couldn't help but wonder about the future Caleb. Who would rub ointment on his bruises then? A girlfriend, probably. For some reason, the thought soured his mood. He started to feel resentful of the past life Caleb. Why did he just say he was clean-cut and leave it at that? Why hadn't he been willing to take him on as one of his own men? Maybe there were too many others vying for the position. Maybe they were all paler than him. His chin was suddenly tilted up. Caleb was looking at him, a faint curiosity in his eyes. He asked what he was thinking about, noting that he looked like he was jealous of someone. The question slipped out before Leo could stop it. Caleb, do you always see me as a kid? Do you really think I'm useless? Caleb's expression was unreadable. He asked why he would think of him as a kid. Leo wasn't that much younger. Leo pressed on, wanting to know what Caleb thought of him then. A little brother? A good friend? He blinked, pushing for an answer. Caleb's eyes held a strange emotion Leo couldn't decipher. After a long moment, he finally spoke. He said that one winter, a cat had nearly frozen to death on his doorstep. A small, dirty white cat. Before it died, it just kept meowing, a sound that made your heart ache. Caleb reached out and tousled Leo's hair. "You're very pale, Leo. Is it that pale things just don't know how to take care of themselves?" Leo felt like Caleb was implying he was nothing more than a pampered pet. But his gaze was so heavy and quiet that it stole all the fight out of him. School life was more interesting than he'd expected. As a new transfer student, he attracted a lot of curiosity, and people were friendly. His desk mate, Ryan, was especially enthusiastic, and they quickly became good friends. Ryan once whispered to him that a couple of the girls thought he was handsome. Leo was stunned. Ryan playfully punched his arm, accusing him of false modesty. Leo shrank away, laughing, as Ryan tickled him until tears sprang to his eyes. He genuinely didn't see it. Staring at Caleb's face every day had skewed his perception. Next to him, he felt plain, lacking that rugged masculinity. Ryan backed him against a wall, playfully demanding his surrender. Leo was laughing when he felt a sudden, cold stare. He looked up. Caleb was standing down the hall, holding a bag of groceries, his face devoid of expression as he stared at Ryan's hand on Leo's waist. Ryan quickly let go. He stammered that this must be the brother Leo was always talking about, then made a hasty retreat. As Leo walked over, Caleb's expression softened slightly. He asked if Leo really talked about him that much to his friends. Leo said of course, telling him how amazing he was. And he was. Caleb was like a machine working 3 jobs a day. Construction in the morning, food delivery in the evening, and live streaming at night. He had set up a backdrop in the courtyard, using a simple phone light, no makeup or fancy clothes. He had managed to earn a small following based on his looks alone. Lately, he seemed to be learning to dance, but he always did it in secret, drawing the curtains tight. If Leo dared to peek, he'd get a swat on the behind. With Caleb's relentless effort, their life grew more comfortable. They even had meat more often. Caleb said that with Leo's final year of high school approaching, he needed proper nutrition, especially for his brain. By the summer after his junior year, Leo was no longer sleeping next to Caleb. It was too hot, and Caleb's body radiated heat like a furnace. So when Caleb came home from work to find Leo for the first time voluntarily sleeping on the mat on the floor, he said nothing. But later that night, Leo woke up, drenched in sweat, to find himself sprawled across Caleb's chest. He asked about it, confused. Caleb, without batting an eye, said he must have climbed up himself. There was nothing he could do about it. Leo wondered when he had developed a sleepwalking habit. He figured it was probably because he was just too familiar with the scent of Caleb's skin. He didn't understand why, even though they used the same detergent, Caleb's clothes always smelled better. He drowsily snuggled back down. This continued for several days. Finally, Leo couldn't take it anymore, complaining that Caleb should just push him off the bed next time. It was too hot to be sleeping skin to skin. Caleb just wiped the sweat from his neck with a cool, damp cloth and told him softly to be good and endure it for a couple more days. He then revealed that he'd rented a new apartment. This one was bigger, with a wider bed, so Leo wouldn't have to be so crowded. The new apartment was indeed larger, with 2 bedrooms. However, one room was filled with Caleb's streaming equipment and boxes, a folded cot shoved in the corner. Caleb explained he needed the space for his live streams, so he wouldn't disturb Leo at night. It made sense, so Leo didn't object to sharing the large bed in the main bedroom. Senior year began, and the academic pressure intensified. Caleb quit the construction job and started driving Leo to and from school every day on his moped. An old lady in their building remarked that his brother was spoiling him rotten, taking such a big kid to school. Leo just grinned and declared that Caleb liked doing it. Caleb tapped his head, telling him to tone down the smugness, but then he told the woman seriously that senior year was mentally exhausting, and the ride gave Leo a chance to rest his mind. Leo wrapped his arms around Caleb's waist, feeling that things were different now. The flickering shadows of the trees flew past them like time itself. Caleb was about to turn 20, the age his fortunes were supposed to turn. Leo knew there was no way for him to know which stock would make Caleb's career. It was clear that the 20-year-old Caleb was far more capable than the 18-year-old Leo. He leaned his head against Caleb's back and asked quietly if he would ever leave him. Caleb's answer was a simple, firm no. Leo felt a happy smile spread across his face. Then Caleb added that a grown man who couldn't even walk down the street properly would probably die in a gutter without him, and then haunt him as a ghost. Leo's smile vanished. After graduation, Ryan invited him over to hang out more frequently. He had video games and comic books, so Leo was happy to go. After a few visits, Caleb casually asked which friend's house he was going to. When Leo said it was Ryan's, Caleb grunted and asked if he meant the short, dark kid. Leo thought Caleb was being overly critical. Ryan wasn't ugly at all. He was considered one of the more handsome guys in their class before Leo arrived. He said as much, and Caleb just gave a cold laugh, turning his back to him, the sound of him chopping vegetables suddenly more aggressive. After a moment, he asked if Leo could maybe not go anymore. When Leo asked why, Caleb just said to forget he mentioned it. That day, Leo was distracted at Ryan's house. Ryan watched him for a while and asked what was on his mind. Leo shook his head. Ryan slung an arm around him, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Hey, if you're bored of games, I've got something more exciting." He watched, confused, as Ryan drew the curtains, locked the door, and pulled out his phone, handing him one earbud. Leo sighed. It was probably porn. He wasn't interested. He'd seen plenty in his past life. He looked down, then froze. The video was of two men. Men could do that? He'd been vaguely aware of it, but he'd never had any interest. This was the first time he'd seen it so explicitly. The younger man in the video was begging the older one, calling him brother in Japanese. The older man, muscular and tan, pushed him onto a sofa. He growled that they weren't real brothers, and that the younger one was too naive, trusting enough to sleep in the same bed with him. The younger man put up a fake struggle, insisting he only saw him as a brother. The older man kissed him, murmuring that being brothers didn't change anything. Brothers could do it too. Leo swallowed hard and looked away, telling Ryan it was weird and he didn't want to watch. But Ryan grabbed his shoulder, pulling him closer. His breathing was heavy as he whispered for Leo not to pretend that he'd already seen. Seen what? Leo followed his gaze down to his own pants and his face burned. He tried to stand up, yelling that he had to go, but Ryan pushed him down and held him. The audio from the earbuds still dangled by his ear, filling his head with lewd sounds mixed with Ryan's whispered confession.